सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। यो ब्रह्माण्ड विधाति पूर्ववेदागश्च प्रणोति तस्मै तगुंहदेवमात्मोऽतिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। आम्नायान्तिकसंसिद्धम् आदिमध्यान्तवर्जितम् आनन्दघनम् आपूर्णम् आत्मज्योतिरुपास्महे। So today we begin with the second chapter. Avirodhadhyaya. So Dvitiya Adhyaya is Avirodha. There's a shloka, I think in Vidyaranyacharya's, what is it? Forget the name of, I think, Brahma Sutra. There's a work where he gives in shloka form. I forget the name of the work suddenly. So Ditiye Smriti Tarkabhyam Avirodho Anya Dushtata Bhuta Bhoktrutva Shrutehe Linga Shruter Api Aviruddhata. So Avirodha, here in this chapter, Avirodha shows that there is Samanvaya which was established has no Virodha with Smriti Granthas. Meaning, in the conclusion of the first chapter, we saw that the Purva Pakshi was saying that there are many other darshanas who have talked about Karana, Jagat Karana, as being Paramanu, Swabhava, Asat ityadi. Similarly, Sankhyas talk about Pradhana. From the Shruti's perspective, there was refutation shown. Here and there was some Smriti Pramana also given, but primarily Shruti Pramana was given. But in this chapter, what is being shown is that if at all the Samanvaya of all Vedanta Vakyas are in Brahma, then there will be Virodha with Smritis based on which there are other darshanas. So you have shown the other darshanas who are claiming that Samanvaya is in something else, not Brahma, and Samanvaya is only in Brahma. Then what will happen is that although you think that you have refuted the other pakshas, other darshanas, still there is a Virodha, and due to this Virodha, this Samanvaya Siddhi won't take place. So although Samanvaya Adhyaya is over and the Siddhanti may be thinking that there is no Samanvaya needed, but this Samanvaya will fall apart if at all the Virodha cannot be resolved or shown that it is only apparent. It is in your perspective that there is Virodha, but there is no real Virodha with any other Shruti or Smriti Vakya or Smriti Grantha, and thereby the derivatives thereof, meaning darshanas which are derivatives thereof, there is no Virodha with them. And even if there is Virodha with darshanas, there is no Virodha with Shruti or Smriti. That is the Avirodha Adhyaya. So Dvitiya Adhyaye Smriti Tarkabhyam, with Smriti and Tarka, Avirodha and Anya Dushtata also. Avirodha, Anya Dushtata, that there are other doshas. If at all somebody points out, the Purva Pakshi, those doshas also are to be removed. Aviruddhata has to be shown. then bhuta bhoktritva shrutehe linga shruterapi avirodhata. So not only smriti, but in shruti also some lingas are there. The bhuta bhoktritva, all these which are talked about there. With those shrutis also there is no virodha, because samanvaya is only in Brahma. And even with samanvaya in Brahma, those smritis can be interpreted right, so that there is no virodha. This is this avirodha adhyaya. Sorry, my mind is stuck in that name of Vidyanachara. I think Vaktavya-kashika, something like that. That name is there. Just give me a moment. Since that it is, memory is blocked there. Let me just look up. Here it is. Not Kashika. The book here is Vaiyasika Nyayamala. So this shloka is from Vaiyasika Nyayamala. I don't know what, some name came to the mind, I just blabbered it. So the shloka is from that. It is a shloka on each and every adhikarana really, but we are looking into the broad strokes on the at the chapter level. So इत्थम प्रथमे अध्याये अभिहित समन्वयस्थ स्मृत्यादि विरोधे तन्निरसनम् अनेन क्रियते इति विषय भाव संगत्या द्वितीय अध्याय आरभ्यते. The second chapter is begun with what? With the Vishayi Sangati. There is a Vishaya and Vishayi Sangati. And how has this Vishayi Sangati come up? Because in the earlier chapter, in the manner shown Itham, Prathame Adhyaye, in the first chapter, Abhihita Samanvayastha Smrityadi Virodhe Sati. The first chapter showed Samanvaya in Brahma of all Vedanta Vakyas. Then that Abhihita Samanvaya, the Samanvaya which was stated there in the first chapter, that Samanvaye kim tishtati? Smriti virodha tishtati. Kaha tishtati? Smriti virodha tishtati. So in this Samanvaya which has been shown in the first chapter, in that Samanvaya there is a dosha. What is that dosha? Virodha Rupa dosha. Virodha with what? Smrityadi. Smriti and then Tarka Ityadi. All other things are possible as per the Darshanika's claim. Other darshanas have this claim. And those doubts are resolved here. That Virodha, the Shanka regarding the Virodha is refuted here. Tan nirasanam anena kriyate, anena adhyayana kriyate. Therefore, there is a Vishaya Bhava Sangati between the first Adhyaya and this Adhyaya. Adhyaya Sangati is a Vishaya Sangati. There is no Sangatya. Yeah, there is another sentence there. So thereby the Samanvaya Vishaya Bhava Sangati is between the Samanvaya Adhyaya and the Avirodha Adhyaya. Now the atra purvam atideshadikarane. So there is, see, the name is not atideshadikarana really, but it is also seen clearly that whatever hetu ityadi was used, tarka, hetu, tarka, all these were used in the first adhyaya and many adhikaranas to show that Sankhya's pradhana cannot be Jagat Karana. Those hetus and tarkas or similar hetus and tarkas can be extended to other darshanas refutation also. They are useful in refuting other darshanas also. Therefore, there was atidesha. The same reasoning or same counter was extended. Therefore, atra purvam atideshadhikarane pradhanavad ashabdatvam anvadinam api abhihitam. In the last adhikarana, we saw it clearly that other darshanas also can be refuted using the same reasoning given by the Siddhanti to refute the Pradhana. So Pradhana is Ashabda. Pradhanavat Ashabdatvam. Kesham Anuvadinam. Parmanu, Swabhava, Asat were mentioned there, and those will be looked into in detail now, including Pradhana also. Pradhana will also come up again and again because it is a main Purvapakshi. Sankhya is a main Purvapakshi. Adhuna Pradhanasya Vaidika Shabdavattvabhave api. Although Pradhana is Ashabda, meaning does not have Shruti Pramana, therefore Vaidika Shabdavatva Abhave api Pradhanasya Smriti Rupa Shabdavatvam Akshipya Parihriyate iti Akshepa Sangatya idamaha. However, there is a Smriti Rupa Shabdavatvam in Pradhana. Pradhana has Smriti Rupa Shabdavatvam, although it does not have Shruti Rupa Shabdavatvam. Vaidika Shabda is Shruti Shabda. So Shruti Ashabdatvam was what? This Ashabdatvam of Pradhana is Vaidika Shabda not being there, establishing Pradhana as Jagat Karana, but primarily there is nothing which talks about Pradhana as discussed in Sankhya Shastra. But Sankhya claims that there is Smriti. Smriti has Shabda and Smriti is also Pramana. So although Shruti Pramana is not there, maybe we have missed out something. Shruti is too vast, or whatever is the reasoning as to Shruti not being available now. Therefore, we have to look into Smriti, and wherever you find Smriti Pramana and Shruti Pramana is lacking, still Smriti Pramana will hold good. Therefore, I have Smriti Pramana for Pradhana, says the Sankhya who has returned to the discussion table. And thereby Akshipya Smriti Rupa Shabdavatvam Pradhanasya Akshipya Parihriyate. Now Parihara is given to that kind of a Smriti Pramana claim establishing Pradhana as Jagat Karana, not Brahma. So there is a Virodha. That Virodha has to be shown as to be false. Therefore, Parihara is in Parihriyate iti Akshepa Sangatya idamaha. There is an Akshepa made by Sankhya Purvapakshi. Thereby Smrityadikaranam starts up. Smrityanavakasha dosha prasangha iti chet na अन्य स्मृत्यनवकाश दोष प्रसंगात्. स्मृत्यनवकाश दोष प्रसंग इति चेन्नान्य स्मृति अनवकाश दोष प्रसंगात् should not be broken, but then not used to chanting sutras. But generally sutra should not be broken, sandhi should not be broken. So smrityanavakash dosha prasanga iti chennanya smrityanavakash dosha prasangat. Smrityanavakash dosha prasanga iti chennanya smrityanavakash dosha prasangat. That is the sutra. Padacheda is smrityanavakash dosha prasangaha iti chet na anya smrityanavakash dosha prasangat. Hetu given is anya smrityanavakash dosha prasangat. To what? To counter the Purvapakshi. Till iti chet there is a Purvapaksha. Na is Siddhanta. No, there is no dosha prasanga. What kind of dosha prasanga is claimed by the Purvapakshi? Smrityanavakasha dosha prasanga. Smriti, smritehe or smritina anavakashaha is the dosha. And doshasya prasanga, shashti. So, कीदृश दोषस्य प्रसंगः भवति? स्मृतीनाम अनवकाश रूप दोष प्रसंगः भवति. So smritis have no avakasha now. If you say Shruti is not there to establish Pradhana, but Smriti is establishing Pradhana, then those Smritis will now have no avakasha. That is a dosha. If Shrutis are not establishing Pradhana, bhavatu nama. But I am showing you Smriti, which is also Pramana. And if you don't take up this Pramana as valid, says the Sankhya Purvapakshi to the Siddhanti, Vedanti, then Smriti is not being given space by you in the Pramana category, And thereby what will happen? You are not respecting the Smriti as Pramana. Smriti has to have a place to work. When Shruti is not available, Smriti is to be considered as Pramana. Now you have shown that you are saying Ashabdavatvam. And by that you have said that Shruti Pramana is not there. There is no Shruti word which establishes Pradhana as Jagat Karana. But when that kind of a reference is not available, a valid Pramana, Smriti Pramana should work. Why not take that Smriti Pramana? If you don't take, then there is a dosha, there is a dosha which accrues to your perspective, Siddhanti's perspective, and what is that? That dosha is not giving space for Smriti in the Pramana category. You are not taking Smriti as Pramana. That is the broad stroke of the Shabda there. We'll see more as to what exactly it means in the Vritti. Iti chet. If this is the claim made by the Sankhya Purva Pakshi, then na dosha prasangha. Why? If we take if we agree with that Smriti which is showing Pradhana, if at all it is showing Pradhana as Jagat Karana, then what will happen? Anya Smriti Anavakasha Dosha Prasanga. That is the Hetu. Therefore, Tasmat Anya Smriti Anavakasha Dosha Prasangat Hetoho Smriti Anavakasha Dosha Prasanga na bhavati. Meaning what? Anya meaning Sankhyanam Yaha Smritihi Tasyaha Smrityaha Anyaha. Anyaha or Anyaha या स्मृतयः तेषां स्मृतीनाम् अनवकाश रूप दोषः भवति, दोषः प्रसज्यते. Therefore what? Anya smriti anavakash, meaning what? Sankhya smriti bhinna smriti will get no avakasha. If you give Sankhya Smriti some space in Pramana, then the other Smritis, not only Shruti, other Smritis also will have Virodha really. That is the idea there. So, if you are selectively taking some Sankhya Smritis as valid, then non-Sankhya Smritis will be invalidated. What about them? You have to look at Tatparya Vishaya even in Smritis, not only in Shrutis. You have to use Shadlinga to land on the Tatparya even in Smritis. So that will be shown. This is the Sutra Artha. Atra Purvapakshe Smriti Virodhe Samanvaya Asiddhi Siddhante Tadavirodhe Tat Siddhiriti Phalabheda. We have seen this many times. So the first Tad here is Siddhante Tad Avirodhe, meaning Smriti Smritya Virodhe Tat Siddhi. This Tat is Samanvaya. Therefore, Samanvaya Siddhi. Purva Pakshi says that due to Smriti, Virodha with Smriti, Virodha of what with Smriti? Of Siddhanti claiming Samanvaya of all Vedanta Vakyas in Brahma. Therefore, Brahma is Jagat Karana, and in this context, Jagat Karana. But then, Aikya is with Brahma. Therefore, Brahma is the subject matter in all Shrutis, not only in creative stories, Vakyas which deal with creation stories, but also till the end where Aikya is shown. Ekameva Advitya Brahma. Tattvamasi ityadi Vakyas. So Mahavakyas, Avantar Vakyas, all Vakyas have Tatparya in Brahma. If at all that is true, then the Purva Pakshi says that there is Smriti Virodha and therefore Samanvaya Siddhi as claimed by the Siddhanti. Siddhante Tadavirodhe Smritya Virodhe Tat Siddhi Samanvaya Siddhi iti Phalabheda. Ukta Samanvaya kim Sankhya Smritya Virudhyate uta na iti sandehe. When there is a doubt, what kind of a doubt? Whether the Ukta Samanvaya Kena Ukta Kaihi Ukta Vedantinah Kena Vedantina Ukta Samanvayaha or Vedantibhihi, Kaihi in plural, Vedantibhihi Ukta Samanvayaha, यह समन्वय उक्तः प्रथमाध्याये, that Samanvaya, Kim Sankhya Smritya Virudyate Kim? Does it have Virodha with Sankhya Smriti? Uta na, or there is no Virodha. Uta na Virodhyate. Iti Sandehe Prapte. When this Sandeha, the doubt has come up, then what happens? The Paksha of the Purva Pakshi is what? Maharshi Pranita. Maharshi Kapila. Kapila Muni is Maharshi. So Kapila Maharshi Pranita Pradhana Karanavadi Smritinam Anavakasha Rupa Dosha Prasangat Samanvayaha Virudyate iti Pradhana Anugunataya Shutayaha Neya iti Chet. Iti Purva Paksha. Up to iti Chet is Purva Paksha in the Sutra. And what does it mean? Maharshi Pranita. Maharshi Kapila has created this Smriti, which is Sankhya's basis for Sankhya Darshana. Therefore, Maharshi Kapila Pranita, what is that Smriti saying? Pradhana Karana. Pradhana is Karana. And therefore, that is their Vada. Therefore, Pradhana Karana Vadi. That Smriti is Pradhana Karana Vadi Smriti. Vadini Smriti. Vadi Smriti is in Samasa. So, Pradhana Karana Vadaha Pradhanam Eva Karanam iti Vadaha Yasmin Smrtau Yasmin Maharshi Pranita Smrtau Sa Smritihi Pradhana Karana Vadini Smritihi. In Samasa it will become Maharshi Pranita Pradhana Karana Vadi Smriti. And then Shashti of that as to Maharshi Pranita Pradhana Karana Vadi Smriti Nam Anavakasha Rupa Dosha Prasanga. There will be dosha. What kind of dosha? Avakasha is not given to these Smriti Vakyas which establish Pradhana as Karana, and this Smriti is created by Maharshi Kapila Muni. Therefore, what? That becomes the hetu for your Siddhanti's Samanvaya being opposed by Smriti. So, Samanvaya Virudhyate iti Pradhana Anugunataya. Following this Pradhana Anugunataya Shrutaya Neya. Following the Pradhana as Jagat Karana as established by the Smriti, you have to understand the Shruti. So, Shrutihi Neya. Shrutayaha Neya. All the Shrutis that you have talked about, you have misinterpreted them. Why? Because there is Smriti Virodha, and when Smriti Virodha is there, Smriti has analyzed all the Shrutis well and established the Tatparya itself. Therefore, the Shruti Tatparya is seen in the Smriti. Which Smriti? Maharshi Pranita Smriti, Sankhya Smriti. Therefore, Shrutis have to be seen in that light. In the light of Pradhana being the Karana of Jagat. So, Pradhana Karanavada Shruti Anugunataya, following that, you should bring out the meaning of the Shrutis that you have already explained. But you have to revisit them, says the Purva Pakshi. Iti Chediti Purva Paksha. This is the Purva Paksha. Siddhantastu. Siddhanti says, na virudhyate. Your Smritis, although they are created by Maharshi, still there is no Virodha. Na Samanvaya na Virudhyate. Those Smritis cannot become the hetu to establish that there is Virodha with the Samanvaya of all Vedanta Vakyas in Brahma. Kutaha? Why? Anya Smrityanavakasha Dosha Prasangat. Which are these other Smritis which have contradiction with this Virodha being shown by you? Meaning what? There is no Virodha. So, if I am saying that Brahma, Chetana Brahma is Jagat Karana, and that is the Tatparya of all Vedanta Vakyas, and you are saying that the Sankhya Smriti has Virodha with that kind of a Samanvaya, I will show you that there are so many other Shrutis which show that Chetana is Karana. Therefore, they show that my Samanvaya in Chetana Brahma being Jagat Karana is right, and therefore they have Virodha with your Virodha in Samanvaya, and thereby there is no Virodha. So there is a virodha with other smritis. Which smriti? Who has virodha? Your smriti has virodha with other smritis, because other smritis are clearly showing that Jagat Karana is Brahma, therefore Samanvaya of Vedanta Vakyas are in Brahma, is in Brahma. And you are saying that Samanvaya is not in Brahma because your Smriti says so, and that Smriti, your Smriti, has showing Virodha is wrong because there will be Virodha with other Smritis. So other smritis, you are not giving space for other smritis. You are claim that I am not taking your smriti as pramana, but you are not taking other smritis as pramana, says the Siddhanti. So if I take your smriti as pramana, then you and I both will not have taken other smritis into as pramana, into pramana category, because they also say that, like me, they also say based on the Shruti that Samanvaya is in Chetana Padartha, which is Brahma alone. So Anya Smritya Anavakasha Dosha Prasangat is the Hetu as to your Virodha not being there, so therefore there is Avirodha, which is the focus of this chapter. The chapter is titled so. Chetanam Prakritya Tasmad Avyaktam Utpannam Trigunam Dvijasattama इत्यादिकानां चेतन कारणत्व वादिनीनां, so वादिनी श्रुति, so चेतन कारणत्व वादिनीनां अन्यासां स्मृतीनां अनवकाश दोषः प्रसज्येत. What would happen? Prasajyeta is vidhiling, shakyarthe ling. So what is going to be the conclusion of our own analysis? If we analyze your analysis and my analysis, says the Siddhanti to the Purva Pakshi, what would be the conclusion of the quality of that analysis? You look at the other smritis which will have virodha with your smriti. You are not seeing the other shrutis, so you are not giving them the status of pramana, because there is which is I have not put the quotation mark properly, so let me just check as to what is the quotation beginning with, because Chetanam Prakritya, so Tasmad, perhaps by Tasmad, but let me just confirm. Yeah, Tasmad. So starting with Tasmad, there should have been a quotation here, quotation mark here. So Chetanam Prakritya, having shown that the context is of Chetana. In the Smriti also, the context, the subject matter, Tatparya Vishaya is Chetana. So Chetanam Prakritya, having discussed Chetana, presented, literally presented Chetana, what is that Smriti doing? It says that Tasmad Avyaktam, Tasmad Kasmat, Tasmad Chetanat Padarthat. And that Padartha is what? Brahma. So Chetanat Brahmanaha Panchami as what? Apadane Panchami. Apadana Karaka. That Panchami is showing that the source is Brahma. Origin is from Brahma. The origin is Brahma. For what? For the Jagat. Which kind of Jagat? Here it says Trigunam Jagat. He Dvija Sattama, Dvijanam Sattama, Dvijanam Uttama ityartha. So, O Brahmana, O best of the Dvijas, this Trigunam is Utpannam. Triguna is Utpanna. Triguna is born. That which has three gunas, that which is in the form of three gunas. What is that? Avyakta. So, the Jagat was Avyakta before becoming Vyakta. So, that Avyakta being Vyakta is called as creation. And where did that Avyakta also come from? There is nothing else which is there. So Avyakta can be seen as Maya also. But here Avyakta Shabda has been used. We have shown that Avyakta is not Pradhana. It is Mula Prakriti, which is fundamentally based on Brahma. But here Jagat is being discussed. That Jagat which becomes manifest in the form of Nama Rupa, that jagat without nama rupa, meaning unmanifest nama rupa, is avyakta. And that avyakta is utpanna, which is trigunatmaka. So trigunam is trigunatmakam jagat, avyaktam jagat, utpannam kasmad utpannam, tasmad utpannam, tasmad kasmat, tasmad chetanat. Therefore chetana is the source. Since chetana is the source in the smriti also, pradhana cannot be the source. इत्यादिकानां चेतन कारणत्व वादिनीनां स्मृतीनां, the smriti which is chetana karanatva vadini smriti, and there are many such, therefore plural. So these smritis which you are discounting are many, and they talk about chetana as karana, not jada pradhana, achetana pradhana, but chetana something as karana. And you yourself do not agree, even your Maharshi does not agree that pradhana is chetana, pradhana is achetana, jada. Therefore, you are not taking them into account. Chetana karanatva vadinina anyasam smritinam, other smritis, anya smritis will have no space given by you. Anya smriti anavakasha dosha prasanga is anyasam smritina, which are talking about chetana as karana, and that is the vada really, that is the tatparya vishaya, anavakasha dosha prasajyeta. Such kind of a dosha will accrue to your taking Maharshi Pranita Smriti, Sankhya Smriti as pramana. Then there you will say that, oh, this dosha that has accrued to the Siddhanta Paksha, that has gone away, but it has not, there was no dosha, but a new dosha has come to your Paksha itself. So far you are ignoring Shrutis, Tatparya Vishaya of Shrutis, but now you will have ignored the Smritis also. It was not needed earlier, so we didn't show it in that manner, but now there is no Virodha, because you will have a Virodha with other Smritis. That kind of a dosha will accrue to your own Paksha, Sankhya Paksha, not to me, says the Siddhanti. Ataha smriti dvaya virodhe shruti aviruddha. Shrutya viruddha smriti hi pramanam iti apramana sankhya smritya samanvayo na virudhyate ityartha. Then the Purvapakshi says that, okay, I have shown you some smritis which show as pradhana as jagat karana, and you have shown some smritis which are claiming that, and many shrutis, really many shrutis, they are claiming that chetana is jagat karana. Now in such a case, when there is virodha between two smritis or two sets of smritis, then how will you resolve this? Siddhanti says that you have to go back to the shruti, which is the mula for smriti, and whatever is the tatparya vishaya in the shruti will hold good, and only that smriti which is in line with such tatparya vishaya will be validated. The other has to be reinterpreted. So shruti should not be reinterpreted, but smriti which has virodha with shruti should be reinterpreted in keeping with the shruti and other smritis where there is no virodha. So smriti dvaya virodhe, when the sankhya smriti has virodha with the anya smritis, sankhya bhinna smritis, which are claiming chaitanya as jagat karana, then shruti aviruddha smriti, that smriti which is not having virodha with shruti, is pramanam. Smriti pramanam bhavati iti apramana. What will be apramana then? If the chetana karanavadi smriti is pramana, then pradhana or jada karanavadi smriti will be apramana. Therefore sankhya smriti will be apramana. Apramanam pramanam nasti asmin apramana. So apramana ya sankhya smriti hi, that smriti is what? Apramana. Pramanam na vidyate. Avidyamanam pramanam yasmin smritau sa smriti, yasmin sankhya smritau sa sankhya smriti hi apramana smriti hi. Therefore apramana sankhya smritya, apramanaya sankhya smritaya समन्वयः न विरुध्यते. अस्माकं समन्वयः वेदान्तिनां समन्वयः न विरुध्यते इत्यर्थः. So there is no virodha. Samanvaya has no virodha with the Smriti, Sankhya Smriti. Why? Because Sankhya Smriti is not a pramana at all. One pramana can have virodha with another pramana, and then you have to think as to which is the real pramana. Both cannot be pramana. And if at all there is virodha of a pramana, Shruti which is pramana, with apramana Smriti, Shruti which is not a pramana, in that situation, then there is no real virodha. So virodha isn't there. Where is the virodha? Pramana having virodha with another pramana is a virodha, but pramana having virodha with a apramana, which is not a pramana, is not a virodha. It is an akshepa matra. Just because you say it is wrong, it does not become wrong, because what you are showing is not a pramana at all. That is the conclusion here in the first sutra of the second chapter, first pada. Itascha Sankhya Smritihe Anavakashaha na dosha ityaha. Okay, we agree that we have not given the status of pramana. Pramanatvam has not been accepted by us for Sankhya Smriti. And that is not a dosha. Why it is not a dosha? Itaresham chanupalabdhehe. Itaresham chanupalabdhehe. Itaresham cha anupalabdhehe. Siddhanti says that even if we do not take Sankhya Smriti as pramana, then what will happen? There is no dosha. If you claim there is dosha, we will show you that there is no dosha. Why? Because the Sankhya Smriti which talks of pradhana as karana, if that is pramana, then Sankhya Smriti does not talk only of pradhana. It talks about all of the 24 principles, other 24 principles. So when you talk about those as your vada, pradhana being karana as the pradhana vada, main vada. Other than that, you have so many tattvas. So the other tattvas are not discussed at all. What about them? They are not available. Anupalabdhehe. Itereshanam sankhya tattvanam cha anupalabdhehe sankhya smriti anavakashaha na doshaha. That is sutrartha. So because of it, anupalabdhehe is panchami, heto panchami. Kesham anupalabdhehe. Iteresham sankhya smritigata tattvanam. All these other tattvas and all these other tattvas other than pradhana mahadadi tattvas are there. Those have not been discussed. They are not available. Anupalabdhehe means they are not seen. They are not available. There is no shabda. There is no shabda pramana for other than pradhana mahadadi tattvas. There is no pramana for those also. Therefore, if you say that pradhana should be accepted because pradhana is there in Smriti Grantha, but then other tattvas are also are not there, are not discussed all in Veda. So just because pradhana is one of these Sankhya tattvas, mahadadi tattvas are also there. Among them, this pradhana is one. And you are discussing pradhana. And if you push your pradhana into pradhana as one tattva, you push into Shruti, that this is the meaning. So Shruti Tatparya Vishaya should be pradhana. Then the other tattvas should also have been discussed in the Shruti itself. They are not discussed. They are not available. They are not seen. Therefore, because mahadadi tattvas are not available in Shruti, in the same meaning, we mean that words, some words or similar words may be seen by the Sankhya Purva Pakshi, but in that meaning which is there in the Sankhya Smriti, such meaning is not seen for those words. And since those words are not available in Vedas, therefore there is no dosha in not taking this Pradhana Karanavada Smriti as Pramana. There is no such dosha. That is Sutrartha. Sankhya Smriti Prasiddhanam Itaresham Mahadadi Tattvanam Loke Vedecha Anupalabdescha. Not only in Vedas they are not available. So whatever you have created can be seen as Swakapola Kalpita. It is all Kalpita. In Pradhana Smriti, some Kalpana is done to bring out some Tatparya Vishya which is not really there in this Shruti. So some misunderstanding has taken place, or without the Shruti as Pramana, due to whatever reason, the Maharshi has concluded that Pradhana is Karana and this is how moksha will be available to all by doing what? By doing Viveka between Purusha and Pradhana Mahadadi Tattvas. This Purusha should be seen separate, understood as separate. So that pursuit may be with the goal of moksha in mind, alright. We do not doubt that pursuit. However, what is the basis for that pursuit? That means being Viveka between Purusha and Pradhana Mahadadi Tattvas. If it is not available in Shruti, so some basis should be there. So either the basis is you see such things in Loka and then you conclude, or there is some vision or whatever you claim. All that is not Pramana. Because for Adrishta, meaning what? Adrishta not as Purva Mimamsakas, Adrishta as Punya and Papa Phala, Punya and Papa Rupa Phala, but Adrishta meaning literally unseen. Meaning what? Indriyatita. Indriyatita Vishayana Shrutihi Veda basically, Shrutihi Ekamiva Pramanam Bhavati. Atindriya Vishayana. Indriyatita means Atindriya Vishaya. For Atindriya Vishayas which are Indriyatita, for such, whether they are Loka, whether it is Ishvara, or whether it is Aikya being discussed, or even what karma will give what kind of a result, for all that only Shruti is the Pramana. Alaukika Vishaya, which are Indriyatita, Atindriyanam Vishayanam Vedaha Ekamiva Pramanam. Shrutihi Eka and Ekam Pramanam. So, because Pramanam is Napunsaka. Thereby, Sankhya Smriti Prasiddhanam Iteresham Mahadadi Tattvanam Vede Anupalabdehe and Chakarat Loke Api. Loke Api Anupalabdehe. This Mahat Tattva, where do you see in Loka? What is this Mahat Tattva? It is Atindriya. So, since it is Atindriya, Mahat is what? If at all you want to say it is some supreme or some universal intellect or something, that is the meaning of Mahat. If at all some parallel has to be drawn, then it is Hiranyagarbha. And that Hiranyagarbha has, in fact, Hiranyagarbha also is twofold. Hiranyagarbha is a common name, just like Manas or Antakkarana. Manas is a common name for Antakkarana also. But Antakkarana is more than Manaha. Manas is one of the roles of Antakkarana. Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta, these are the other three roles also. So other three faculties are also there, including the Antakkarana. Similarly, when we say Hiranyagarbha also, Hiranyagarbha is a general term to say one who is associated with the Sukshma Sharira of all Vyashtis. So Samashti Sukshma Sharira Abhimani is called as Hiranyagarbha. In Sukshma Sharira you have Manas also and Buddhi also. Meaning what? It is the koshas are the Manomaya and Vijnanamaya also. So which among these two? There the split is made, and the technical term for technical term for one who is universally associated with all Vijnanamaya koshas, that is Sutratma. We see such a word. So Sutratma, such word is there. So this Hiranyagarbha, Sutratma, that can be the meaning. Sutratma can be the meaning of Mahat if you want to draw a parallel. But that Mahat that you have, which is not Hiranyagarbha, we draw parallels just to get by and explain to those who have studied Sankhya or those who are aware about these Mahad Ityadi words, but they are not aware of Hiranyagarbha, to just get them to Vedanta and understand in line with the Shruti. We say it is something like Mahat but not Mahat. Just like we say, Mula Prakriti Maya Avidya is something like Pradhana discussed by Sankhyas. Because in orthodoxy, really, Darshana, Vedanta Darshana is the last to be studied in Darshanas. Therefore, Sankhya is already studied by someone who is in the old era, rather. Someone who wants to study Vedanta will have studied the other Darshanas. You don't study Vedanta and then go back to Sankhyas. It can be only, an academic pursuit, but really for Moksha Shastra, Vedanta is Moksha Shastra. So other things are studied to build up what are the philosophical viewpoints and how they are wrong. In teaching, there are multiple methodologies. One of the methodologies, in those who have software background, they can understand easily, or engineering background. So a solution is given, a new language comes up, because in the new computer language also comes up, because there are limitations in the earlier languages. So one way to learn, add-on learning, is to build up a solution for a problem using the language which is known, computer language which is known, and then when you build up, you see that, oh, I cannot do this, so I need another solution. And then, for example, from C to C++. So C has some limitations. So you build up a solution and then you see that easily, not that you cannot do something in C, because C++ is written in C. So you can bridge the gap easily from problem to the solution by, simple methodologies of C++. So something like that. The teaching methodology is that you show what in Sankhya what is already learned, and then you replace those words with the Vedanta words, Shruti words, and then show the differences also. It is not like that. It is something like that, but it is not that. Similarly, here, Mahadadi Tattvanam, if you claim Pradhana is to be the interpretation in the Shruti words also, Avyaktadi Shabdas, then Mahat Tattva and then Mahat Ityadi, the other Tattvas are not discussed. In Loka also they are not seen, in Veda also. Therefore, Anupalabdhi of Mahadadi Tattva becomes a Hetu that Sankhya Smriti is not a Pramana at all. Even in the Pradhana Ansha and in other Anshas also. Therefore, entire Sankhya Smriti can be set aside because their Darshana conclusion is wrong. It is based on Pradhana Karanavada, and that itself, foundation itself, is Govinda. It's all invalidated. Thereby, Sankhya Smriti Apramanya. Since Sankhya Smriti in its totality has become Apramana, then the Virodha is no Virodha. Na doshaha. This Samanvaya, Virodha, is not a dosha at all, because one is Apramana, other is Pramana. Tathacha Tadeka Desha Pradhana Smrite api Apramanyam iti bhava. There should be no space here. So Apramanyam. So the Sankhya Smriti itself is Apramana because Mahadadi Tattvas are not available. Therefore, this Pradhana being claimed is also invalid. So Ekadesha. Mahadadi Tattvas are other Tattvas. If you look at those, that is not available. So Ekadesha is gone. Then Siddhant, the mass of the Tattvas are not discussed and they are not valid. Therefore, Sankhya Smriti is not a Pramana. What about this Ekadesha, meaning only one Ansha, Pradhana? That is also not a Pramana. Apramanyam iti bhavaha. So even one Smriti, Vakya which talks about Pradhana, is not at all Pramana, because the other entire set of the Smritis which are in the Sankhya Grantha, Sankhya Smritis, those Vakyas, whatever they are establishing, they have no space in, they are not discussed, they are not seen at all in Shruti. Therefore, this Ansha also is not Pramana, because there also there is Virodha, which has already been shown earlier. Thereby this Adhikarana is over. The next Adhikarana is Yoga Pratyukti Adhikaranam. Sankhyas establish the knowledge of differences between various tattvas, and one tattva is Purusha. Pradhana is the main tattva, which is Prakriti, which is not a Vikruti, and then there are some Prakriti Vikrutis, and then there are only Vikrutis, meaning only Karyas. So pradhana is karana, which is not a karya. Then there are karyas which are also karanas for other karyas. They are called as prakriti vikrutis. And in the end, end set of the tree, if you make a mapping and you draw kind of a tree structure in a flow chart kind of a thing, then the the children level, the last level, the bottom level is only vikruti, only karyas. They are called as vikrutis. They are not prakriti at all. They are not karana for anything. Then apart from this, there is Purusha. Who is this Purusha? Is he Vikruti, Prakriti or Prakriti Vikruti? He is none of those. This Purusha is completely separate, who is Bhokta Matra, who has nothing to do with Kartrutvam anywhere. He is not a Karta, but he is Bhokta. So that Viveka when you do in Jnana, cognitively when you understand all of this, then what happens? That understanding will free you that you are Purusha, who is Bhokta, who is not a Karta. You separate yourself out cognitively, and then that is Muktikaraka, says the Sankhya. The yogis say that all that arrangement is fine, understanding is fine, but you have to be able to stay in that understanding by separating yourself practically from the pradhana ityadi, mahadadi pradhana, indriyas, panchamahabhutas, all of this you should be able to separate yourself from. And therefore the Yoga Shastra has to be refuted because they have a separate paksha. And this we saw in the last patha, in the closing of the first chapter, as to in ansha of yoga, which is not their vada, there is virodha. Which virodha? That virodha which is already shown in virodha, meaning what? There is virodha of Vedanta, Vedanta Tatparya. And if they claim that there is pramanyam to them, then we say that no, there is no pramanyam. So darshanas have virodha with Vedanta darshana, but these apramana darshanas do not have virodha with the Shruti, which is pramana. So the virodha between darshanas is basically apramana darshana and virodha with pramana darshana Vedanta. This is how we have to see virodha and avirodha. So yoga in ansha, where Sankhya ansha is taken as valid by yogis, they don't want to reinvent the wheel. There the refutation has already been done. And where Sankhyas say that there is sadhana, Ashtanga yoga, there we don't have any issue because we agree with that. Why? Because it is based on Upanishad. Upanishad, there are other Upanishads. We only know of 10 names of Upanishads. If at all, we will have studied major parts or even 10 Upanishads based on Bhashya, because Bhashya is available on 10 or some say 11, some say 12, 13 Upanishads. But there are other, at least 108 Upanishads are considered as authentic in orthodoxy, in Sampradaya. And those 108, the 108th is Muktika Upanishad. Muktika Upanishad lists all the 108 in sequence of study for moksha, placing its own name in the 108th place as Muktika Upanishad. Starting with Isha Kena Ityadi. So Isha Kena, Kata Prashna, Ityadi is the sequence, ending with Brihat in the 10, making up 10. Then there are others in sets they are given as to if moksha is not siddha, even after studying the Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukyam eva alam vimuktaye, says the Muktika mantra. Muktika Upanishad mantra is that Mandukya is a single Upanishad. If studied and understood right, that itself is sufficient for mukti, moksha. If at all one does not get mukti after the study of Mandukya Upanishad in Sampradaya, Guru Mukhena, basically Shravana Mana Nididhyasana is done on with Mandukya Upanishad as the main, with Karika of course, because Sampradaya will teach it with Karika ityadi. If that does not lead to mukti, in Muktika Upanishad, Bhagavan Rama is the guru there, Acharya, and Hanuman is the Shishya, and there is a dialectic. Now there can be a question: how can Rama, who is a historical figure, and Hanuman, who is a Chiranjeevi, also a historical figure and a Chiranjeevi, how can this be Upanishad? So such doubts definitely come to most of us. How can that be? The simple answer is that the kalpa is cyclical. It is not this Rama who has gone by in this kalpa, not that Hanuman who has gone by in this kalpa. One answer is that they belong to the earlier kalpa, and therefore in kalpadi, at the beginning of the kalpa, Ishvara creates it in the same manner. So it is being cyclical. Rama will always be there. Rama avatar will always be there. It is not the same Rama, it is a different Rama. History repeats itself. What they say in as a proverbial statement, it's a fact based on our own, tradition, so to say. Why will it keep on repeating? That why question has no reason. You should always counter it with why not. Maya sarvasya sambhavat. Anything is possible in Maya. All this, cyclical thing or whatever appears as contradictory, does not appeal to the buddhi, should be set aside by saying that buddhi is also mithya and all these our stories are also mithya. Stay with the tatparya vishaya. If you are unable to stay with the tatparya vishaya, then the study will seem like never ending. Shraddha has to be there. The first answer should be always as to what? Because Shruti says so. Why? Because Shruti says so. If that is questioned by the buddhi, then Shraddha is lacking. Let it question. I am not saying there should be no questions. If the question is really pestering and hindering the progress, then one should inquire into what kind of answers are given in the Sampradaya. One of them should definitely appeal. If it does not, then there is a struggle, which is also fine. All in good time. But the answer is what? It is across kalpas. If the kalpas are understood, then there is no issue there. Otherwise, one can say that the Shruti is forward looking. If Rama has not come into being in this kalpa, then Shruti, because Rama will never have come into the Rama in this kalpa will never have come into avatara. Hanuman also would not have been born in that kalpa at the beginning of the kalpa, obviously. Therefore, the Shruti is saying that such Rama will come up and such Hanuman will come up, and then there will be a dialectic, and then this Muktika Upanishad will manifest itself, it will reveal itself to some Rishi in this form. Or it can be just a story where the Tatparya is not there, it is Arthavada. That's the third possible answer. Arthavada. They are not literally the same figures that we know in history, but Shruti knows that these figures are going to be Avatara and Hanuman Devata are all going to be very prasiddha. So Shruti uses these to drive home the point, which is the Tatparya Vishaya there, as to which are the Upanishads, which are the Shanti mantras for this, what is the sequence of study, what is the purpose of all that. All this is discussed there in Muktika Upanishad. And then if the first Upanishad, the Mandukya Upanishad itself does not give mukti, then one should study the 10 Upanishads, Ishadi Kramena. If that also does not lead to it, then there are some numbers, 32 or something like that, those Upanishads. If that also does not give mukti, then there is a final clinching statement, the Samadhana, meaning the Upanishad says that one will definitely get mukti if one studies 108 Upanishads. This is the Vishaya in the Muktika Upanishad. The name itself is Muktika Upanishad. that which will lead to mukti, that what will lead to mukti is shown there. Although in Sampradaya, what is the fact? In today's era, one is barely able to study what has to be Nitya Karma, let alone do that. One does not even know what is Nitya Karma, let alone study Vedas Swashaka. So, Swashaka study itself in completion is extremely rare. I am not going to say rare, extremely rare, if you look at numbers, let alone other Vedas, etc. So, in Swashaka, there is Swashaka Gata Upanishad. That Upanishad itself is sufficient for mukti. That is the Shraddha in Swashaka. So, Swashaka study is there, but then chanting is learned, and then one can study Mandukya or Dashopanishad ityadi. Now, this is an aside to say that there are other Upanishads also which talk about yoga. So, yoga angas, there are yoga Kundali Upanishads, such Upanishads are there which are Pramanika Upanishads, because Upanishads are authentic. They cannot be set aside just because we say that, okay, Bhagwan Bhashyakara has not talked about it in detail, or because yoga has been refuted, therefore yoga is not a pramana in totality. You cannot say, because yoga shabda itself occurs in Shruti and Smriti in the same meaning of samadhi, not in another meaning. So you cannot say yoga means a topic, yoga means whatever contextual meanings elsewhere cannot be imposed on yoga where it means samadhi. And Shabdataha Ashtanga Yoga as described in the Yoga Shastra is there in one Upanishad at least. Shabdataha Ashtanga Yoga as discussed in the Yoga Shastra, Yoga Sutras are there in one Upanishad, Yoga Upanishad, which is a part of these 108 in the Muktika Upanishad. With that background, let's see this, how the Vritti says it. I'll just take one, since I opened, is a short Vritti there, we'll look at this. So, Ukta Nyayam Anyatra Atirishati. There is an extension of this Nyaya which has been shown to refute the Sankhya, to refute the Yoga also. But what Yoga Darshana, what part of Yoga Darshana, that has to be seen, that is seen in the Vritti clearly. Yoga Pratyuktyathikaranam. So, towards the Yoga Darshana also, the same Ukti, same refutation will hold good, which has refuted Sankhya. Etena yoga pratyuktaha. Etena yoga pratyuktaha. So, etena what? Etena Sankhya Smriti Pratyakhyanina. By the commentary of refutation on, or discussion, or whatever narration of refutation has been done through the Sankhya refutation, that is applicable for yoga also. Etena Sankhya Smriti Pratyakhyanena Yoga Pratyukta. Yoga Prati. Yogasya Prati also. Yoga Pratyukta means yoga also has been Yoga Pratyakhyanam api Kritam ityartha. So, Sankhya Smriti Pratyakhyanena etena, till now, Sankhya Smriti Pratyakhyanena Yoga Pratyukta means Yoga Smriti Pratyukta or Yoga Smriti Pratyakhyanam Kritam. It should be understood that yoga also has been, but it has been done by a different sutra. Why? Because there is a difference. There is no padacheda, there are 3 separate padas only. So, asya atideshatvat na prutak sangatya apeksha. There is no separate sangati needed. Why? Because there is only atidesha, extension. Extension of the refutation of Sankhya's applicable even to yogas, but specifically shown with Yoga Shastra. It is similar. Phalam tu purvat. Phala is what? Purvapakshi says here yoga darshana Purvapakshi, yogi says that Samanvaya Siddhi, and Siddhanti says Samanvaya Siddhi. Ukta Samanvaya kim yoga smritya virudyate nava iti sandehe Shruti Siddha yoga pratipadakatvena pramanyataya pradhana karanavadinya samanvaya virudyate iti Purvapaksha. Purvapakshi says that there is virodha with the samanvaya that the Siddhanti claims. So, Ukta Samanvaya by the Siddhanti in the first chapter and more, Yoga Smriti has a virodha or not? Kim Yoga Smritya Virudyate Nava. With Yoga Smriti, there is virodha of the Samanvaya or not? So Purva Pakshi says Shruti Siddha. Yoga is Shruti Siddha because yoga Shrutis exist. There are complete Upanishads based on yoga topic itself. Yoga means Samadhi, Ashtanga Yoga, leading to Samadhi. That is Shruti Siddha. So now, although Sankhya's Pradhana Karanavada is not Shruti Siddha and it is not Anya Smriti Siddha also, still yoga is Shruti Siddha itself. Therefore, what? Shruti Siddha Yoga Pratipadakatvena. Since the yoga Shrutis are there, Upanishads are also there, which discusses Ashtanga Yoga, therefore it is Pramana, and those Shrutis which reveal or discuss or teach this yoga, those Shrutis are Pramana, and therefore due to their Pramanyat. Why is the Pramana? Because yoga is Pratipadita in Shruti. Therefore, Shruti Siddha Yoga Pratipadakatvena. Yoga is revealed by Shruti. Therefore, there is Pramanya and Pramanyat. Taya, Traya, Taya, Yoga Smritya, Smritaya. Yoga Smritya, not Smritaya, Smritya. Meaning, with the Yoga Smriti, this Ukta Samanvaya Virudhyate. And what kind of a Smriti, Yoga Smriti, with what kind of a Yoga Smriti there is Virodha? This Yoga is Shruti Siddha. That much you have to agree because Ashtanga Yoga is Shruti Siddha. Now, if it is Shruti Siddha, then that Yoga Darshana also talks of what? Pradhana as Karana. So, this Yoga Smriti. Now what Purva Pakshi has done smartly, he has said that yoga, Ashtanga Yoga is discussed in Upanishad. Do you agree? Siddhanti says yes. Now the Purva Pakshi says, okay, then Yoga Darshana, which is based on those Upanishad, is Pramana. We do not answer yet. What does he say? We will say that yes, in the Ashtanga Yoga Ansha of the Yoga Smriti, there is Pramanyam. But in the Pradhana Karana Vadi Ansha, Pradhana Karana Vada Ansha of that Smriti, there is no Pramana. There is no Pramanyam. So, using this Pramanyam of the Yoga Darshana, because Ashtanga Yoga is Upanishad Gata, therefore Purva Pakshi says, therefore what? Taya Pradhana Karana Vadinya Yoga Smritya Samanvayaha Virudhyate. Pradhana Karana Vadini is a Visheshana. Pradhana Karana Vadinya Tritiya in Strilinga is a Visheshana to Yoga Smritya. Taya Yoga Smritya, what kind of Yoga Smriti? Which is Pradhana Karana Vadi Smriti. Vadini Smriti. The Samanvaya Virodha is there. So Samanvaya Virudhyate iti Purva Paksha. Siddhanti says what? Etena Sankhya Smriti Pratyakhyanena Yoga Smritirapi Pratyukta. Pratyakhyata Drashtavya. It should be seen as answered these questions. And thereby Yoga Smriti is also refuted. But which Yoga Smriti is refuted? That Yoga Smriti which is Pradhana Karana Vadini Yoga Smriti. Natu Ashtanga Yoga Vadini, which is Shruti Siddha Ashtanga Yoga Vadini Yoga Smriti. Why so? You see that Shruti Viruddha, Shruti Aviruddha. Shruti Viruddha is this Ansha of the Yoga Smriti which shows Pradhana as Karana, because they just mention it in passing, they just accept that what Sankhya have done, what work they have done towards, we agree with Pradhana being Karana, and we'll focus on Ashtanga Yoga now on. And that is their Tatpare Vishya really. Culminating in Dvaita though, where we do not agree, but the sadhana of Ashtanga Yoga is acceptable to Sampradaya, Advaita Sampradaya also. So Shruti Aviruddha Ashtanga Yoge Tatparyavattvena. Since that is the Tatparya in Yoga Shastra, and it is also Pramana because it is based on Upanishad, therefore Pramanye api, and although there is Pramanyam, Tadviruddha Pradhane Tatparya Abhavat Apramanyam iti bhava. Meaning was what anshe tatparyavatvam and tatparyavatvena pramanyam and anya anshe अंशांतरे अप्रामाण्यत्वात् तात्पर्य अभावात् योगशास्त्रस्य प्रधान कारणवादे तात्पर्यस्य अभावात्. Their तात्पर्य is not to show pradhana being jagat karana. There is no tatparya. It is only anuvada of Sankhya Darshana. Yoga is like an extension, or some say that yoga is practice while Sankhya is theory. Even if you take that as right, then what Sankhyas have talked about Pradhana Karana Vada, Karana as their Vada, primary Vada, whereas yoga is not focused towards that. Therefore, what? In that Ansha where they just do Anuvada of Sankhya's Pradhana being Karana, that Karana is not their Vada. So, Tadviruddha means what? Shrutya Viruddha. Shrutya Viruddha is this Ansha where Ashtanga Yoga is discussed, that is Tatparya of Yoga Darshana. There is no Virodha with Shruti, we accept that. But Tadviruddha is Shruti Virodha. Shruti Viruddha is what? Pradhana. So Tadviruddha, Shruti Viruddha Pradhane Tatparya Abhavat. Kesham Tatparya Abhavat? Yoginam. So Yoga Darshanasya Tatparya Abhavat. Kasmin? Tadviruddha Pradhane, Shruti Viruddha Pradhane. In Shruti Viruddha Pradhana Ansha of being Karana of Jagat, there is Virodha and Tatparya of Yoga Darshana is not that. Yoga Darshana Tatparya is in Ashtanga Yoga, and Ashtanga Yoga as sadhana is acceptable in Shruti, therefore there is no Virodha. Therefore what? Apramanyam. In one Ansha where there is Anuvada of Sankhya, which is not a Tatparya of Yoga Darshana, there is no Pramanyam, they are Apramana, and with Apramana, Shruti, which says Chetana, Brahma is Jagat Karana, there is no Virodha possible. Same as earlier. However, in that Ansha where Ashtanga Yoga is discussed, that is available in Shruti also as sadhana, not culminating in Samadhi, which is establishing Dvaita, meaning Nana Purushas, but if it is establishing one Purusha, then we accept, because that is the perspective of those Shrutis also, which are Yoga Shrutis. You have to combine it with the Tatparya Vishaya of entire Shruti. The Shruti Tatparya Vishaya is in Advaita Brahma. If this Purusha in Samadhi is understood as Advaita Purusha, there is no other, then that is Muktikaraka. However, the Yoga Shastra falls short of that, because they say that Samadhi is showing this Purusha as separate from Prakriti, physically separated in Samadhi, physically in the sense, one is not associated with Tadatmya Sambandha, one separates oneself out, although the Sharira Adi are real, still one has nothing to do with them. They are separate. They are the Pradhana onwards, they are all separate. Mahat Tattva Ityadi. The Indriyas are separate. I have nothing to do with them. I am Purusha, who is what? Satchidananda. And what kind of Satchidananda? Who is a Bhokta also, unfortunately. Says the Sankhyas. So this Ananda Bhoga which takes place in Samadhi, that Bhoga is real, and thereby I am one Purusha, just like another person who goes into Samadhi, yet another who goes into Samadhi, my Guru and Shishya Vargas who go into Samadhi, they are all different Purushas. That is the falling short of Yoga. However, in Sampradaya, there are many a text which are written on Yoga Shastra also, to show Advaita as a possible result of that by Atidesha of Yoga. Yoga Darshana can be extended and merge into Advaita, showing that this sadhana with the understanding of the Vedanta Mahavakyas can lead to Mukti. Which are those? For sample, you see the same Sadashiv Brahmendra, who was also a yogi, he has his own tika on Yoga Sutras. There is also a claim of Adi Shankaracharya, Bhagavad Padacharya's. There is a Vivarna. Vivarna text is Advaita text. It is on Vyasa Bhashya on Yoga Sutras. Which Vyasa? The same Vyasa, Maharshi Vyasa, who is a Vedanti. That Vedanti has written a Bhashya on Patanjali Yoga Sutras. If that is not sufficient for modern Vedantis, at least you should see that Sadashiv Brahmendra, who is well respected, who has gone by recently, whose Samadhi is also available to visit, he has written this Brahma Sutra Vritti and also Yoga Sutra Vritti. And then there are many Shankaracharyas also of Chaturamaya Pithas also who have written on yoga, not only practice Samadhi. So this Swarnavalli Guruji also has, Shankaracharya has written a vritti in Kannada. I came to know about it recently. So it is, and based on his anubhava also of Samadhi, he has written, and it is based on Vyasa Bhashya. And this Vivarna, which is clearly, if you look at any bits of Vivarna also, you will see the Vivarna on Vyasa Bhashya on Yoga Sutra, that Vivarna is completely Advaitic, and the colophon also shows that it is Shankaracharya who is, the Adi Shankaracharya, it is attributed to him because the colophon shows, and the I think the introduction also, somewhere it shows as to, it is addressed as Bhagavad Padacharya. Although Govinda Bhagavad Pada is also called as Bhagavad Pada, who was Guru of Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya. Still, Adi Shankaracharya is called as Bhagavad Pada. But Bhagavad Pada is not called as Shankaracharya. So, Adi Shankaracharya can be the only meaning for Bhagavad Padacharya and Shankaracharya, which goes together. It cannot be Govinda Bhagavad Pada, because Govinda Bhagavad Padacharya was not called as Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya, the tradition calling Shankaracharya, Pitha Acharya, Shankaracharya also follows there. So it can be other Shankaracharya also, but meaning there is some, Bheda in accepting that, but there is no Bheda in accepting that Vivarna is Advaita. You look at Vivarna, the Samadhi is also discussed as Advaita Samadhi. Brahma is discussed there. Brahma Bhava is discussed there, not Jiva Bhava. Therefore, all this should be taken into account. Why I am spending more time on yoga is because there is a lot of opposition to yoga by moderners, and all I want to say is that yoga is not claimed to lead to Advaita Mukti, but Samadhi. Samadhi is not Advaita Mukti, but one cannot say that Samadhi is not Advaita Mukti also. Because somebody who has Mahavakya understanding gets Samadhi, it can definitely be Brahmanubhuti. It can be Sakshatkara. Absolutely no doubt should be entertained there, is my opinion. It is a mere opinion with all of this Sampradaya backing it. So this is just to stress the point. Do not throw the baby with the bathwater. In orthodoxy, Samadhi is valued. It is not a joke. It is not a laughing matter. And Yoga Shastra, although it is not a pramana, in the Ansha where Shruti shows sadhana for Ashtanga Yoga, that should not be set aside. It should not be discounted as yoga is refuted. Therefore, everything in Yoga Shastra is not a pramana. One shouldn't do it, because it is, no one else is the loser. The seeker is the loser, because a lot of what is possible through Yoga Shastra, as through practice as sadhana, is going to be not available as a resource for this sadhaka. Of course, Shravana Mana Nidhyasana is the Antaranga sadhana for mukti undoubtedly, but in that Nidhyasana Abhyasa, Samadhi Abhyasa is included. And I have mentioned this, I'll just stress it again in closing, as to Madhusudana Saraswati Acharya, who was one who wanted to refute Advaita, and he took training in Tarka, in Dvaita Shastra, who is a Krishna Bhakta, who wanted to study Advaita also. He studied Advaita also in Sampradaya of Advaita. Advaita Acharyas taught him, and his goal was to refute Advaita. But having studied Advaita, knowing yoga, knowing Nyaya, Tarka, he is, you will not find anyone better than the Advaiti Madhusudana Saraswati Acharya, who is such a great Tarkika, Advaita, he is also called a Siddhikara. Advaita Siddhi Tarka is so deep or so thorough that even the Tarkikas of the Tarka school used to fear Advaiti Madhusudana Saraswati Acharya when he used to enter their state or city. So that is the praise of Madhusudana Saraswati Acharya, and his praise in one shloka is also that the limitations of Saraswati are known to limitation of Saraswati, Vidya Devi, are known to Madhusudana Saraswati, and the limitations of Madhusudana Saraswati are known to Bhagavati Saraswati. So that kind of a praise is there. When he says something, we cannot set aside. No one can set it aside. Therefore, when he says in Gudhartha Deepika, 6th chapter of Gita, that Samadhi is also, this yoga is also a means to landing on Advaita. Of course, Jnana is not discounted there. Jnana should be there, Aikya Jnana, but Aikya Jnana, one Mahavakya is sufficient. For one who has proper understanding of one Mahavakya is sufficient for one who has Samadhi experience, because Samadhi is also seen in Panchadashi. Bhagavan Vidyaranyacharya says that this Meghadhara, Dharma Megha, Samadhi is Dharma Megha, which washes out a lot of prarabdha and all the obstacles to Nishtha. So for Jnana Nishtha also, Samadhi Abhyasa is also discussed in detail in Jivan Mukti Viveka by Bhagavan Vidyaranyacharya. Okay, so much talk because I wanted to stress this point, which unfortunately is not talked about a lot, and this is needed. Therefore, I wanted to spend more time, although I overshoot by a lot of time, and we covered less sutras. But this is important topic to know, especially for sadhakas who are focused towards mukti. Those who want just jnana and comparative studies, that's a different story. But then those who are focused towards mukti in this janma, all sadhanas, all resources should be used as needed. As needed. If not needed, very, very well, but there should be no dvesha or opposition to it. That is all I am saying. At least that's all I am saying. Okay. Om Tat Sat. आम्नायते संसिद्धम आदिमध्यांतवर्जितम आनंदघनम आपूर्णम आत्मज्योतिरुपास्महे. नमस्ते, धन्यवाद.
नमस्ते.
Cancel.